Well, welcome everyone. This is Devin Murray with Attract More Families and with another one of my weekly master classes. I hope everyone is having a tremendous week. There's an old business saying that goes, the business that wins is the business that understands their customer better than anyone else. And really that happens because you need to know your families, your customers, your prospects like the back of your hand. You need to understand them better than anybody else, really even better than they understand themselves to some extent. And what I find is that most owners and leaders think their prospects are just like them. But I hate to tell this to you, they're not. They're not at all like you. You might think that they're your friends, but they have totally different wants and needs and desires. Otherwise, they would be doing the exact same job. So you need to understand what their end result is that they want to achieve. What is their pain? If you don't understand what their pain is and what they want to get out of working with you, you're going to always be struggling to get those enrollments and to keep those enrollments. This is one of the reasons why we ask what prompted you to call today when answering the phone with a new prospect. Find out what their pain is right away. Do not assume that you know what their pain is and what they wish to get out of the call and their business working with you. And you're going to find that different groups of people and even different people are going to have very different end results and very different pains that they're in, even if they're trying to get to the same end result. You may think you know your families. We almost always find, though, when we dig into this, when we start doing an empathy mapping, that we really don't know them. We find that we have got some preconceived ideas and biases in there that are wrong, and it creates an issue. What you find is that when your message shows you understand their pain and you have a solution to that pain, you end up in a congruency, and the results are amazing. Enrollments become easy. Retention becomes easy. So you just find that when you have that congruency between knowing who your customer is and what they truly need and offering them what they really truly need, even if it's only a subset of what you could do, you find that it just matches and people just naturally attract you and naturally want to do business with you and stay in business with you. So how do we go about understanding what our customers' needs and pains are and what their end result that they're looking for is? The first and simplest way is obviously our avatars. Creating an avatar for your customer or customer groups. The other way is to do an empathy map, which is what we're going to talk about today. And this was originally based on the book Game Storming by David Gray, but has now been expanded upon even more, and it becomes a really great, tremendously powerful tool that really gets into some depth. And you end up having a map that looks like this at the end that really lets you understand who your customer is or your prospect. And an empathy map is a map of someone else's point of view. It's what they see, what they say, what they feel, what they think, and what they hear. It's their perspective. It's their worldview. It's their emotions and their beliefs. It's seeing your school from the eyes of somebody else and what their needs are and how you're going to help them solve their problem. And it goes beyond demographics and really into the psychographics, into their head, the why do they do things. Not who they are, not how much money they make, not where they live, but why do they live there? Why do they make the money they want to? Why are they looking at an independent and private school? Now we're going through these empathy maps. I've done enough of them now to know the real challenge you're going to have is to keep your biases and your beliefs from skewing your empathy map and that avatar. We always want to, again, put ourselves out there and think that everyone is like us, but they're not. Right, so how do we go about creating an empathy map? The first thing we need to do is we need to create the person at the center of it. Who are we trying to empathize with? And you want to give them a name that relates to your clients. I like to name the person at the middle. If it's a Beth or a Bill, whoever it is, and generally when you look at your avatars, you're going to have an idea of who that person's name is. You know who those ideal customers and prospects are that you're trying to map. You also want to give them as much detailed information as you can. You really want to understand that demographic of who they are before you start trying to empathize with them. So, what kind of a job do they have? How old are they? Are they married, divorced, remarried? Are they stay-at-home mom, a partner in a law firm? Whatever they are, you want to make sure you get as much information as you can. And don't skip this information, because it's going to help you keep on the right track and thinking from their point of view. When you can look and go, here's what a mother who is working 80 hours a week and has a 45-minute commute to work. How is she thinking? What are her points of view? What are her headaches going to be? When you can look at it from her perspective because you understand who she is, you can empathize with what her problems are. So much easier. And the way we want to do this map is we're going to take it and we're going to take a sheet of paper or a whiteboard or any kind of thing you want to. You can actually do this online if you want to also, and divide it into 4 quadrants. The first one being, what does she think and feel? C, say or do, and then you're going to populate the empathy map by answering the following 6 questions in detail. And I actually love to do this with sticky notes up on a whiteboard, and just slowly work your way through it and have multiple people there and keep brainstorming ideas. So first you want to talk about, what does she see? I'm talking about a female in this one. I'm going to use that as the example all the way through. But what does she see? What does her environment and her world look like to her? Does she have a clean house? Does she have a messy house? Is it a big house, a small house? Does she drive through poverty to get from her house to work or to you? Does she just drive past the country club and that's all that she does? What does she see every day? What does her world look like? What do the people around her look like? Are they all dressed nice, or are they dressed in more work clothes? Who is she seeing? What is she seeing? Who surrounds her? Is she surrounded by just her friends? Is she surrounded by coworkers all day long? Is she surrounded by friends and family all day long? Or is she just surrounded by kids all day long? Who surrounds her? What offers is she exposed to daily? We're exposed to thousands of offers a day. So think about what she's being exposed to. Is she going to work and she's seeing the billboards and the radio ads, and then she's getting bombarded at work about people who are trying to get her to do more work and take on more projects for them? Or is she at home and she's getting the ads during the news? Think about what she's being exposed to. What offers and types of offers is she being exposed to, and how is she being exposed to them? And what problems does she encounter throughout the day? Is she not having enough time to get groceries and food and home and get a good dinner on the table and still be there to support her husband and her kids and to get a good night's sleep and to have that clean house? What are the problems that she's encountering? Is it hard to get from her house to work and back and still have time to be with her family? What are the problems that she's facing? What does she hear in her life? What are her friends saying to her all the time? What do they say? Do they speak bad? Do they speak good about private schools? Do they speak good or bad about her? What do they say about other people and other kids that they come across? What are her friends saying? Who really influences her? And how? Is she being influenced by her husband, her mother, her father, her friends, her co-workers, bosses? Is she being influenced by a pastor? Is she being influenced by brothers and sisters? Who's influencing her, and how? Are they doing it very subtly, or are they doing it very direct? Think about that. Are they saying, you should be going to private school because we've all gone there and that's so much better? Or are they saying, public schools are just fine? Are they doing it subtly, or are they just... Think about, who does she follow on social media? This is real powerful now. Those are people that influence her. Who is she following on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest? Who are those people that are influencing her and putting things into her head and causing her to take paths and beliefs one way or the other? So what is she hearing in her life? What does she really think and feel? So what is really important to her? And this is something that she might not even say publicly. So you really got to dig and think about this. I see this a lot when you have the parent that says one thing but believes another. And sometimes they don't even know why they're doing it. They might think they want to be going to a private school because it's the better education for their child. But really, the real reason they want to is because they want to look and feel important. And they know that by having their child in a private school, it ups their status, especially if everyone in their neighborhood is going to your school or nobody goes to a private school. And now, she might not ever say that publicly. She might not even know that 100% of herself. But you need to know this and understand who she is and what's really important to her. Also imagine her emotions and what moves her. Is she motivated by being a great parent or by looking out of fear of being a bad parent? Those kinds of questions. What moves her? Gain or fear of loss? And also try and describe her dreams and aspirations. What is she hoping to get out of life and working with you? Is she hoping that by her child being at an independent school that she's going to have, that her child's going to be better off than she was? Or is she hoping to maintain the status quo? Is her dreams and aspirations for her child to move on and go to Harvard? Or is she just hoping for her to keep up with all of her cousins? Really think about that. What are her dreams and what are her aspirations? Also, you want to look at what does she say and do? What are her attitudes? Is she an optimist or a pessimist? Does she think that things are getting better or are they getting worse? What could she be telling others in this world? Because what we vocalize, we generally tend to follow along with. So what is she saying out loud to others about independent schools? And pay particular attention to those potential conflicts between what she might say and what she truly thinks and feels. You can see this a lot with people that say, oh, I believe in public schools and believing in being frugal. But yet they also really believe that the school system is bad and that there's a better option out there. But they're saying something. So you need to give them a way then to save face and to make that change without looking bad to people. And you need to understand what she's saying and doing in order to be able to offer that path. You also want to understand what are her pains. What is her biggest frustration in life? Is it that she doesn't have time to be with her kids because she's working too much? Is it that she feels that she doesn't know enough to be that great educator herself? What are her frustrations? What are the obstacles that stand between her and what she wants or needs to achieve? Does she need to actually be able to put in more hours at work? Does she need to be able to work with more charities and give back to the community more in order to feel important? And what risks might she be afraid of taking? What could she be afraid that's going to make her look bad or that it's going to cause pain or embarrassment to? What are some of those things? And look at what does she hope to gain? What does she truly want to achieve? And big one is how does she measure success? We can all measure success in different ways. Does she measure success by if her child gets into an Ivy League school? Or SAT scores matter? Or is her measure of success that other parents in the neighborhood look up to her? Or is it that her mother gets off of her for not sending her child to a private school? What is her measure of success? You need to understand that so that you can make sure that you're showing that you are helping her achieve that level of success. And also think of some strategies that she might be using to achieve those goals. And again, be thinking about these from her perspective, not from your perspective. But what kind of options could she be looking at to meet her goals and her desire? And you want to write down as many answers as you can possibly think of. This is a big group exercise, game storming. I love this over like a working lunch is when I normally do this when I work with clients. Is we'll do this over the working lunch so that we can kind of take a bite and keep working. But write down as many as you want to. And keep checking to make sure that you are answering from her point of view. Every time have to come back and make sure that you have not put your bias in there or your point of view. You also want to try and make these as much as possible, state them in first person. Why should I enroll my daughter in a private school? Make sure you're trying to keep them in first person, which will help you to keep it from her point of view. As I said before, this can be either a solo or a team effort. I love this as a team effort, and it's going to take some time to complete. This is not a 10-minute process. Coming up with an empathy map is a good long process, and it's something you might have to revisit from time to time. Again, I love this as a working lunch or an afternoon, evening session at the quarterly marketing. But what you're going to find, though, too, is that even before you're done, you're going to start to get some of those aha moments. Some of this you might find that you actually can fill a need that you're not even advertising. When you start realizing what her needs are and how you can help the person that you're empathy mapping, you might realize that you can be solving problems that you're not even marketing. You can also sometimes, you start to find those incongruencies between who you are marketing to and really what you offer. Because you've always thought that you're marketing to somebody else, but then as you start digging into the empathy map of some of your customers, you start realizing that, maybe the reason that we're having so much trouble getting people to enroll is because we're not really feeling their needs. So, and those are some huge ahas, and they can be really fun when it just starts, that light bulb starts clicking when you start looking at this from their point of view. So once you have this information, use it for insights and to craft your message. If you understand how you're going to solve someone's problem and what their problems are, you can speak to them in such a way that you show that you're going to solve their problem. This also allows you to create your avatar as a story or a description, not just as a bunch of facts and figures. You can now understand and have that narrative about who your avatar is. Empathy mapping is really such a powerful, powerful tool. I really suggest you sit down and start doing it as soon as you can. Schedule a time in the next couple of weeks to go ahead and come up with a empathy map for at least one or two of your ideal customers. It's a great way to learn. So a couple tools for doing empathy mapping. A whiteboard is great if you have a big whiteboard or smartboard. This works great. You can draw the segments up there. Post-it notes are wonderful. I love Post-it notes for this. Hand everyone just a stack of Post-it notes. You can also get blank paper to do this, a big old sheet of blank paper. Thanks to Xplane, they can actually print these empathy maps up. I think they can go up to about a 5-foot wide sheet of paper that you can unroll and stick to a wall. Get them laminated if you want to. Another great tool, which I'll say, is once you're done with this, go ahead and take a picture of it and take a picture of high quality enough and close enough that you can read all the sticky notes. That way, if the map ever gets lost. I also want to thank David Bland for actually providing the master template, which I will actually provide to you in the end. And this is it. Nice, just the blank empathy map. You can find it either below this video or in the article that's associated with this. I'll actually put a link to the PDF and the image file, the JPEG image file of this, and you can blow it up to pretty much whatever size you want to. So I hope you've learned something about empathy mapping and how it can help you to better understand your customers so that you can help them help you. And as always, I'm always on the lookout for a few more of my ideal clients. So if you would like to get a free independent school marketing blueprint, would you like me to design this for you and we actually sit down and work one-on-one together to come up with a plan for you that's specific to your school, your needs, your customers? If you'd like to learn more about that, attractmorefamilies.com, request consultation. We'll give you all the details and all the information about that. Again, this has been Devin Murray with attractmorefamilies.com. I hope you have a wonderful and amazing week, and I will be here again next Monday with another great episode of our masterclasses. Take care and God bless.